Alright, for 21 we're going to change this to 5x minus 2 just to make the graph a little easier. So number 1, graph the original. So come over here to negative 2, your y-intercept to negative 2, and go up 5, over 1, up 5, over 1, and down 5, over 1. Draw your line. Alright, so now what I want to add to this is let's make a table for the graph we just made. And so here at negative 1, negative 7, and then 0, negative 2, 1, 3, and 2, 2, oh, that's right, 2, I was doing the math wrong in my head, 2, 8. So now to find the inverse, so the inverse, we just switch them. So we have y, x, so now we just switch all the numbers. So negative 7, negative 1, negative 2, 0, 3, 1, 8, 2, and draw that line. Alright, so we found the inverse using the table. I graphed it, and let's go ahead and practice writing the inverse by switching the x and y's. So remember, this just is a y, so to find the inverse we switch the y and the x, so we have x equals 5y minus 2, and then we just solve that, add 2 to both sides, so I get x plus 2 equals 5y, divide everything by 5, and so I get 1/5 x plus 2/5 equals y. And you can kind of see that's what my graph is looking like. It doesn't touch the y, and the y-intercept is less than 1, so that's that 2/5. It goes up 1 over 5. And number 4 on your paper, it's not on the screen, but it says to graph the line y equals x. And so that's just the line y equals x, and the point of that is because we had talked about the inverse being a reflection across the line y equals x, and so you can see that these points are the same distance away from the line. I almost forgot, since we know that this is a function because it passes the vertical line test when we graph it, or the original function passes the horizontal line test, we would say the inverse function is 1/5 x plus 2/5. Alright, let's graph this one. So we start at negative 2, and so when you have x over 4, it's the same thing as saying 1/4 x, so our slope is 1/4, up 1 over 4. Okay, so let's draw the line. Let's make our table. So we have negative 8, negative 4, negative 4, negative 3, 0, negative 2, 4, negative 1, and 8, 0. So to find the inverse, we just switch them. So we get -4, -8, -3, -4, -2, 0, -1, 4, and 0, 8. So let's graph those. -4, -8, -3, -4, -2, 0, -1, -4, -1, +4, and 0, 8. Let's graph that line. Okay, so we graphed our inverse. Now let's write the equation for it. So you can see it has a y-intercept of 8. It's going up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So it has a slope of 4x. It passes a vertical line test, so we would actually call it the inverse function of 4x plus 8. If you wanted to get that here, remember we'd switch the x and y, and so we'd have x equals y over 4 minus 2. We'd add 2 to both sides. Get x plus 2 equals y over 4. Multiply everything by 4. And we get 4x plus 8 equals y, which is what we had here. And now our last thing to do is to graph the line y equals x. And so now you can see that it's a reflection over the line y equals x.